Again, the convergence of blockchain and AI. Now, with AI, you can expect within this year, we're going to see deepfake so real, you cannot tell the difference. People watching this on live stream, they will not know what's in here.
We're not here.
We're having dinner somewhere else. So to counter that, you need some form of digital watermark. That is actually a cryptographic evidence
that
this is real.
Yeah.
It's my signature, his signature.
Who puts that? The tech companies? By the way, they're so excited at the back. They're trading crypto on the back of all these comments.
It's all your fault. No, we control our private key. It's going to be private public key.
It'll be personal.
We'll have control.
It's going to be like your irises, your fingerprints. It'll be a digital.
But it's stored on blockchain.
Yeah.
Witnessed by the global population.
Everybody knows.
Cannot be faked.
Yeah. But does this change everything for just capital markets?
It will. Yeah. I mean, my gosh, if we could tokenize bonds and stocks tomorrow, one of the great things that BlackRock is being accused of is how much vote we have. I wouldn't vote anymore because we would be able, through tokenization, to know the owner of record instantaneous, and each owner of record will do their proxy voting. I would love that outcome. No, but it would democratize investing in all ways that we can't imagine.
Even political systems, how you vote in a country, can be changed by that.
And do you think that, again, the Trump administration will accelerate that?
I think they're moving that direction. How far they actually will go remains to be seen.
But if you do have a digital validator, like your fingerprints or your irises, I mean, you could tokenize voting. You could do everything. And so it will change how we think and how we live and what we do. And
we've been talking to some Southeast Asian governments, including Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia. All of them historically have the populations who are trading black market bitcoins and what have you. But now the governments are realizing U.S. is driving a global policy shift. So they're now doing something very clever. They're saying, you know what, we're going to issue a new form of digital ID to every single citizen. Along with that is a digital wallet.
Which Brazil and India has already done.
You're both so far.
Again, the convergence of blockchain and AI. Now, with AI, you can expect within this year, we're going to see deepfake so real, you cannot tell the difference. People watching this on live stream, they will not know what's in here.
We're not here.
We're having dinner somewhere else. So to counter that, you need some form of digital watermark. That is actually a cryptographic evidence
that
this is real.
Yeah.
It's my signature, his signature.
Who puts that? The tech companies? By the way, they're so excited at the back. They're trading crypto on the back of all these comments.
It's all your fault. No, we control our private key. It's going to be private public key.
It'll be personal.
We'll have control.
It's going to be like your irises, your fingerprints. It'll be a digital.
But it's stored on blockchain.
Yeah.
Witnessed by the global population.
Everybody knows.
Cannot be faked.
Yeah. But does this change everything for just capital markets?
It will. Yeah. I mean, my gosh, if we could tokenize bonds and stocks tomorrow, one of the great things that BlackRock is being accused of is how much vote we have. I wouldn't vote anymore because we would be able, through tokenization, to know the owner of record instantaneous, and each owner of record will do their proxy voting. I would love that outcome. No, but it would democratize investing in all ways that we can't imagine.
Even political systems, how you vote in a country, can be changed by that.
And do you think that, again, the Trump administration will accelerate that?
I think they're moving that direction. How far they actually will go remains to be seen.
But if you do have a digital validator, like your fingerprints or your irises, I mean, you could tokenize voting. You could do everything. And so it will change how we think and how we live and what we do. And
we've been talking to some Southeast Asian governments, including Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia. All of them historically have the populations who are treating black market bitcoins and what have you. But now the governments are realizing U.S. is driving a global policy shift. So they're now doing something very clever. They're saying, you know what, we're going to issue a new form of digital ID to every single citizen. Along with that is a digital wallet.
which
That's when
Brazil,
people
which
will
Brazil and
actually-
India has already done.
You're both so
Well. Already, all these are happening as we speak. So, but we are fighting for
There are two
God.
questions, and I have a third issue that I think, Ruben, you need to address. But let me start with the questions you have raised. I think first the issue of INEC. I think everybody is fairly aware that INEC, as presently constituted, has lost a lot of credibility. And it is very important that the institution gains this credibility. Otherwise, the stability of the country is going to be threatened, because when you have institutions that are not delivering, and especially a key institution like INEC, and if this failure continues, then it will erode not only, confidence in INEC, but confidence in democracy itself. And when that happens, you know the consequences. So let me come back to INEC. I think there are amendments that the whole country is waiting for. For example, that amendment, which I think late President Buhari refused to give assent to, which mandates INEC to use electronic tools and to use technology in delivering the result, is still pending. But more importantly, why should the president, whoever is the president of the country, who is an interested party in the election, be the one to propose the head of INEC? I think late Uwais committee has made very good recommendations, which have been blocked by those who are interested in manipulating INEC. I think we have to rescue INEC by making sure that the head of INEC is not appointed by a sitting president who is going to be interested in election. So there are a number of things that needs to be done. I'm not sure there is sufficient time for us to raise that, but I think the key issues are two. One, that INEC's credibility is at stake, and two, we have got to insulate INEC from political interference. If that doesn't happen, then it is the democracy that is holding the country that's being actually run down. And when that happens, there are consequences. The second question, if I remember correctly, which you raised, is where do we go from here? Considering what former President Jonathan said. And I think it ties down with the issue that I really think you should be raising, because the whole gathering in Accra is around the crisis of democracy, that democracy is not delivering the expectations of the people. And in Nigeria, if you take the statistics from 1999 to date, that's about 25 years. If you take the indices of development, whether you are taking the paternal and maternal mortality rates, or if you are taking the GDP, the growth in the economy, if you are taking all the indices of development that you take, you will see that from 1999 to date, we have been going down the drain. In fact, the GDP for this year is said to be much lower, actually about less than half of what it was in 1960. In other words, this country under this democracy is actually going down the drain. And it is time to really ask, of what use, of what benefit is democracy if it cannot really deliver? Is democracy made for the people or people for democracy? If democracy is supposed to serve society, then it has failed in Nigeria. And it is time to start thinking of how do we really bring about a system that can work for us. I watched the debate from beginning to the end, and I was saddened by the fact that the elite that gathered there could not think out of the a box of Western frame of thinking. In other words, they were all, and especially the guest speaker himself, he was going round and round while admitting the failure of democracy. He was still saying that we should stick to democracy. And that doesn't make sense. I mean, you have admitted that this system has failed to deliver. And you are saying that we should still hang on to it.
Now, Juju be that. But again, that's what they are going to use for campaign. All of them don't agree say he don't die. Who kill him? Not them. All right. While we are busy trying to look for the Oga Pata Pata to lead, the world forges on. Let me see. Pe- 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 pe. Let's see. So today we will look. We'll compare now the days of Awolowo's and the rest of them, Abi, since that them be our founding father. How different was the game? And now, one would say the game remains the same, just the players and technology that differs. Every other thing remains the same. The same. So, bo- 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 so you trying to get into it. Historical moment from the 60s. Mirror today religious tension. The 50s stroke 60s was pretty much where the of independence got to the final stage. And if you ask me, I think we are, I would say, our 20s from, make I know to go back, but if I want to go back, well, pretty much since the Fourth Republic to date. So we are getting to the final stage of what we have been trying to define. If that is what we are trying to do at all since the Fourth Republic, which is started in 1999. I don't know if you are trying to define a nationhood, define a brotherhood, whatever that we as a people are trying to do. I'm saying we today because, as I said, as an adult, it's that time we start looking at the problem. All our life, that's what defined us as a people. So, how do we get out of this? What do we pass on to the next generation? So that's why I'm saying we. What have we done? What have we been able to define, create? What part are we defining at all, if there's anything like that? So in the 60s, 50s to 60s, we're not just about tribal clashes. They were a cocktail of identity politics, just like today. Resource grabs, Cold World War was actually Cold War. I mean, a Cold World War. Cold War was actually at its peak too. Meddling that amplify, they didn't have to, shoot bomb or can frame anything as Christian genocide, terrorism, and all that kind of, because even within ourselves, what they need to do is to just sit aside and sprinkle gas where they need to, just to amplify that divide, and that shaped the foundation of what we have today as Nigeria. Well, look at some of the flash points, some of the echoes. It was more or less along tribal lines then, but today it's pretty much up along religious sphere. So, roughly around 1953, Kanu riot, and the northernization, because that's the word we don't hear about now. Nana Islamization, right? It used to be northernization. Those who were alive then, I think they will bear me witness. It used to be northernization. I will give you the link, Mr. James. Just bear me witness. I say bear me witness. Bear with me. I'm trying to do something. So there used to be northernization policy, Nana Islamization, right? I mean, so in the lead up to the independence, the northern region pushed for modernization. That means prioritizing Hausa Fulani in jobs and administration, just like my people from the southeast are saying that when it comes to some certain powers, position of power, they are also left out. What an irony, huh? History, they say, might not appear the same, but it rhymes. So the priority then was the Hausa Fulani jobs and administration. Now, how to be a Hausa name or how to claim Kogi, Kwara, so they can be accepted into the structures of the Nigerians that we had then. I'm talking about even up to today. We who are situated and located along the borderlines of civilization fault lines. In this case, we are at the intersection between the northern Nigeria and if fight between them, in the area, log ahead to see who is going to influence us the more. The carving out of it of Wuri, Magogo states to join that of the northern north central, now Kogi, says a lot who is actually having the upper hand in terms of who is trying to convert us between the Yoruba. But again, if you look into our own socio economic settings and cultural to some extent, you see, say, the Yorubas are having the lead, going by some of our names and how fluently we speak the language, even without even stepping out of our villages at times. A lot of people have never left the Akoko Edo villages, but they speak Yoruba fluently. Okay. So it was more or less of the modernization policy that shaped the conversation of but today pay attention is about power, how the eastern part of the country has said, are we really part of this arrangement or not? So that modernization priority put pressure on the system, and riot broke out in Kano. Just to, I mean, I'm not saying that's the sole reason why the riot, but that's one aspect of the conversation you had here. But instead, you hear how the Hausa people they insult the Igbo people, and all that kind of crap. But at the core of the pressure is the fact that the northern part of the country felt they are being marginalized. They are not being prioritized enough in terms of jobs. So riots in Kano against the Igbo migrants, huh? uh, People were killed, displacing thousands too in the process. It was framed as protecting the northern interests. But was it really about was it really about northern interest or consolidation of regional power? Because the perceived reality then is that the southern Nigerian dominance is going out of control. Just as we are talking about the north today, but we frame it as Hausa Fulani or to some extent the Fulanis, right? So if you see, we are not different from our parents. The goal is that the next generation should be different from us, not biologically or anyway, but the way we see ourselves. If we have to coexist, or we have to live as neighborly countries. So we used to be tribal, now religion. So what is it going to be in the future? Is it going to be those who are technologically inclined, those who merge with, modern technology? We're talking about the biotechnology that is being rapidly developed among the superpowers. Elon Musk today probably one of the most important human beings alive. We don't talk about that aspect of Elon Musk enough. The Neuralink. Last year, we hear where Xi Jinping and Putin were talking about longevity, right? How the potential of human living up to 120, 150 years. How organ transplants would be like a piece of shit, pretty much. So if you want to look at the future from that angle, you see where Elon Musk is one of the most important human beings. So going forward, the problem how the next generation are going to have is not going to be between Hausa, Igbo, Fulani, Christian, or Igbo. An average Nigerian will have a problem how he or she is going to raise a kid. She I go merge my children with fuse them with technology with machine, or I'll raise them organically. What is the competing uh, uh, here? If the competition that underpin today's world, capitalism is still going to be the order of the day. If I raise my kids organically, send them to the best university in the world, can they compete with the other kids who, in this case, 50-50? 50% organic, 50% machine. I mean, it's no longer a conspiracy theory now. This is something that is being in pretty much the final stage, when we say. So, why we fight for which God better pass, we should think about what's the problem we are creating for the next generation. So, from modernization to Islamization, and again, it is not all these kind of terms are not coming out of people's imagination. It is due to the reality of the day. If at a time whereby the whole planet Earth is talking about the next technology that is going to disrupt our way of life, and how we can think of is about how to give Almajiris who are not disfranchised as far as I'm concerned, who are not marginalized as far as I'm concerned, because the Almajiri that we see today are not victim of anything. The system and their parents and the religion that underpin them choose to raise them that way. We keep forgetting that aspect of it. that these kids roaming around the streets, it's not that they don't have parents or they don't know where they come from. No, it is a way of life. Right? Now, that way of life is no longer pain, it's no longer fit into the modern world. They deserve a Marshall Plan. How about a Marshall Plan to overwhelm the education system, to overhaul the education system as a whole, by way of infusing AI? Because we are not even talking about that yet. That's the world that we live in today. But again, I don't. That's a conversation we are not ready to have. That the Alemanjiris that we are seeing today are not victim of anything. They are not being marginalized. They are not. That is the way the society, the parents, and the religion themselves choose to raise them. It is a choice. Again, as a country, that's a conversation we are not ready to have. Again, they are not out of school children. That's another part that we are not ready to toe with this conversation. They are not out of school. The Alimanjiri system is a school. Now, this is not my argument. This is their argument. And they are stating facts. So I think we should actually go to the potter of the conversation. The 18 million out of school children in Nigeria are literally maybe 1 million, maybe the southern part. But every child who is seen, who registered into Alemajiri system in the north is not out of school. Neither is he out of the system either. Now we can put the child on the center seat and say, is it fair? That's not the conversation. But again, who am I or who are you to tell parents and the entire society that that child is being raised that they are wrong? Again, this is just an act of consolidating regional power. It has nothing to do with the children. So fast forward to today. So the 20s, Sharia implementation was the foundation. So when I say the beginning of this republic, this fourth republic, that's our history. That's how it all started. Sharia was the most important thing among the 12 northern states. Has nothing to do with industrialization, has nothing to do with the world that we eventually find ourselves 20 years later. Again, it's all about consolidating power. That singular move reignited Christian-Muslim clashes. A lot of people don't seems to forget about that. When a particular religion foresee that they are losing power, now when the nation is losing power collectively, when that region is losing power at the center, something got to be done. And that's what I'm seeing with this old grand nonsense of Marshall Plan. Muslim to get no work again. Now, this is just one side of the conversation because the other side too is not to be exempted. The North, from the one fair that they are not part of this whole arrangement. So how do we get our own power, right? Let's frame whatever that we are going through as a Muslim Christian genocide. After all, there are examples of that to show for it from again for the Republic. So it is not about blaming either side. It's just to shine light on how, in an attempt to consolidate power, how far we can go. Or whenever we feel that we are losing power, how far we can go. So we can go on and on and on and on and on, right? So I think we forget easily. We think that the height, this killing, where would it experience today? You just no. That Sharia implementation, right? The ignited Muslim Christian clash. More than 2,000 people were killed in Kaduna the year 2000. So today again, if you pay attention to the debate, the conversation we are having as a people, it echoes. Islamization, Islamization, Islamization. I asked that question to myself. What is the future of the Nigerian state? Is it the Islamic social state or capitalist secular state? Which one would say that's the Christian way of governance? So when the policies and one would say the winning strategy of Muslim ticket surfaces is 2023 election. I've been at Isbila, enforcement of cash impulse. So just as modernization, you understand, alienated a lot of Southerners, those moves alone fuel religious favoritism. And people would say, why, after 60 years, why are we see where we are? Because there is no national unity. So when the tribes go against each other, like it was in the 50s and the 60s, that led to zero-sum game, if you ask me. It's the same thing today we are saying, but along religious line, north and south. Last. I don't know who will win, but for sure, collectively, we will all be losers. That's not even because That's the easiest way for external actors. The Washingtons of today, the NGOs, we don't talk about the Middle East influence on us today. That's how they exploit, the Cold War, and eventually we carry gun against ourselves. On one, I see the same land. Though. It's not that we have to cross water, come fight the other one, or we have to climb mountain and valley. No, it's just you just look around at your neighbor. The 1966 coup, and some people go say, nah, Igbos, anti-Igbos program. That. All right, so, few days from that January 1966 till a couple of hours ago, it was seen as an Igbo-led coup. Again, when one region is feeling marginalized in terms of their people are not being employed enough, which is the northernization today Islamization that we are talking about. That's how they felt. Just like the Igbos are feeling today that they are being marginalized when it comes to power sharing at the same time. The same way the northerners felt at the same time. But again, because they were seen as the victim then, all right, and seeing the Igbos as the one pretty much taking advantage of everything when it comes to federal employments and power, what have you. It was easy for them to say yes. They want to remain in power by every means necessary, so they carry out a coup. I could be wrong in that way of seeing things, but I believe there are few people who, because for the past 60 years, did everything they could politically speaking to make us believe that's what happened. Again, there were reasons for people to believe because the massacre that was carried out on them, right? So it was easy to paint that narrative as a coup, tribal takeover. But the truth is that there were economic grievances. The federal jobs that were pretty much the main deal then were pretty much seen as one-sided. So we give the superpower then, Great Britain, to back the federal unity by the USSR. They're fucking around with the secessionists. Today now, insurgencies like Boko Haram, farmer herders, started about 15 years ago. Intensity of it, and gradually we guided the narrative, today now a full all out Muslim and Christian crash. And however you want to push against that narrative, it will not win because the superpower again explored that narrative, and they exploit it in a way that, in fact, maybe if you go back to the 60s and 50s, it has the founding fathers, they will not believe that at least a superpower will strike us, not because we are being stubborn, fighting against their influence. So because could not seems to put our God second and our survival first. So with the striking with you know of a quote unquote ISIS in Sokoto finally destroyed the argument that it's not Christian Muslim clash, because those bombs were thrown in protection of what? Christians. From who? Despite the amount of poverty, overnight we forget the hunger day. Nobody's talking about hunger no more. It's no longer, that's no longer our number one problem. Number one problem is our faith. We have to start paying people to tell our story for us. Hence, we have to go in the name of lobbies. As if you look at the headlines, they are dropping $9 million per annum. To do what? Not to come and, don't maybe say when they go buy food. Let's even put it in a very foolish way. Say now food, make them supply food, say people they hunger because yes, people they hungry. No. To dress the narrative that is not Muslim or Christian that are being killed. Again, when are we going to put the nation first? If there's anything like that, because again, that's why I started from 1950 and 1960. We did not come together in order to build one nation. We came together by lying to ourselves that, that's what we are going to build. That's the goal, but it was never the goal. Those three tribes never see themselves living together as one. Never. They find a way, and today we are also looking for a way, right? Because the tribal line is blurry now, right? It's blurring. Everybody get, we've married each other, we created everywhere. So it's getting that fourth line of tribal along tribal line you know is becoming invisible as we evolve as species. So that's why we have to look for a way, another way, which is what? God. So Muslim tickets was a thing, and bomb on behalf of Christian was also our reality. So anybody will tell us it with the hunger day, all this is a lie. So in a way, if I go back to people like Steve Pinkett, are you? Who wrote what's with that in book name? What's with that in book name? Steve Pink. Enlightenment now. Steven Pinker. Yeah. I literally believe that we with the Africa, we're good. Everybody get iPhones. Since everybody get phone, life is mwah. Literally. That's just the easiest way I feel describe that, because like again, he was also keen to that intellectual yet idiot that we talked about here all the time. So to them, because every African has a phone, just using that as one of the examples, life is good. So you know, go blame them when our conversation today is not even along that line. We barely talk about our hunger anymore. If it even exists. So you also understand why those who are falling for the idea of AI and robotic and biochemistry, whatever that is whatever that is coming now will give you abundance. You know, go blame them. Because we communicate, we have a conversation within ourselves and say, man, all is good. We are right. We want to be at the same conversation level with the developed world. We should be able to be toe to toe with them, the way they think, the way they now. But collectively, we are poor. But we don't act at that. We pretend that evil is well because we want to belong. So if an average American is talking about civilization, how their demography is being affected, we say we want to match ourselves with that same energy. So if the rest of the world is seeing us as we have arrived and they will deal with us like that at that level, we should not be surprised. So when we get people like, Sheikh Gumi defending bandits, it mirrors the 60s leaders executing program too. If you look at it well, after all, na self-defense. Because that is the centerpiece of Gumi arguments. They need to defend themselves, they need to defend their civilization, they need to defend their existence. Hey, after all, in the West also see anything that they don't like as what threats to what? National security threats. Whatever that means. So US designating Nigeria as a I don't think they phrase that word again. Country of particular concern also speak to that the legitimacy of the Muslim and Christian that is the foundation of our today problem. So from a country of a particular concern, in the name of Christians, and then Christian genocide follows. Then followed by what? Firepower. That is what is going to define 2027 going forward. They can tell you about democracy. They can tell you, no, a lie. So we forget easily that within that short period alone, because the founding fathers lied to themselves that we are going to build a nation. Because of the lie, they lied to themselves, and carrying everybody along led to pretty much it led to 3 million deaths. I'll argue that. And we are lying to ourselves again. How many million do you think it's going to cost us this time? But that 3 million dead was also sold in the name of keeping Nigeria one. You see what I said? They deceive themselves. But the rivalry between them, resource control, because that's the whole point. That's the only way you can survive. You need that. You need something to bring in money. You need something to bargain. You need something that's leverage. In terms of the Nigerian state using oil as a leverage in the 60s, right? Now they not get lithium, they get cobalt, they get at the end. So everybody has leverage now. So we'll see who's going to eat ground. But none of them will eat ground. They will always just pretend. And that's why they are so the opposition is so head bent of democracy, because they want to package us, they want to lie to themselves, then sell us that the survival of Nigeria is hinged on democracy, whatever that means. Again, we're deceiving ourselves. So if lying to themselves in the name of the echelon of tribe trying to say yes, we are in the name of keeping one Nigeria, about 3 million people were lost in the process. How many are we going to, taking into consideration that we are just what? We are less than 100 million people then. Now 70 to 75 million, and we lost 3 million. Now that we are over 200 million people, how many do you think we are going to lose? 10 million, 15 million people? For lying, for just keep lying to ourselves. They told us no victor, no vanquish. Oh. That's a conversation we don't forget. No victor, no vanquish. Don't metamorphose to another thing entirely that 4 out of every 5 Nigerians hold dear to his or her heart. Religion. I want to make it to heaven. So there's so many flashpoints that makes now even more dangerous than in the 60s. That make the religion's fault lines even more dangerous than the tribal line, because now like pretty much 3 lines. This one are 2 sharp ones, right? Red line everywhere. The middle belt clashes, the killings in Plateau, attack on all those kind of shit. Those we don't talk about all those. Those are hundreds of people. How many then kill for Kano in the 60s that we target as program? Never kill. I never kill pass like that for Benue, Jos, Katsina, Maiduguri, everywhere. Even in the east, they never pass. What did they do for Kano and Kaduna in the 60s? Well, lead to civil war. Again, we deceive ourselves. So now, leading to the civil war in the northern and the cry that they've been marginalized, they've been dominated at the work level. Today, and I'm waiting the same echo from Biafra. Fear of northern dominance. It's not just fear, it's reality. So it will get to a point, the idea of referendum will not go call them again. Even this revolution that people are nursing, we were exhausted. So now our story be that in a nutshell, from where our founding father started from, and how the same energy we are applying to make sure we go along those lines. Oh, okay, Mr. James, sorry. Here you go. Akpako Rescue, yes, scared Judge. Mr. J, I don't know if you are still there, but that's the link. Poo-poo.
there are two questions, and I have a third issue that I think, Ruben, you need to address. But let me start with the questions you have raised. I think first the issue of INEC. I think everybody is fairly aware that INEC, as presently constituted, has lost a lot of credibility. And it is very important that the institution gains this credibility. Otherwise, the stability of the country is going to be threatened, because when you have institutions that are not delivering, and especially a key institution like INEC, and if this failure continues, then it will erode not only, confidence in INEC, but confidence in democracy itself. And when that happens, you know the consequences. So let me come back to INEC. I think there are amendments that the whole country is waiting for. For example, that amendment, which I think late President Buhari refused to give assent to, which mandates INEC to use electronic electronic tools.
Hello, Mr. James. Good morning. Hello? Yes, I can hear you now. Yes. Yes, I can hear you now if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you too.
Good. How are your side? Good evening. But it's still morning
We
here.
your side full time. I said we do your side full time.
All right.
So what is happening in Nigeria?
I don't know. They're busy. It's about primaries. They are fighting who is going to get tickets. I think that is their problem for now. That's what preoccupy their activities. And thinking around Obi and Atiku. But every other thing remains the same. I don't know where Bola Tinubu is, but everything remains the same pretty much.
Okay, they are still sharing money.
Oh yeah, it's just that's the whole fight. This is where the money is. This is the period where the money is spent. This is where the money is spent. So everybody is fighting to be in a position whereby either the money is shared through him or her, or the money get to him or her. So everybody is positioning ourselves at this point. That's what it is. Until maybe Trump we we say, hey.
We shake them again.
So I think at this point they are doing everything they can. I mean, there's news everywhere now that the Bola Tinubu administration just paid the 9 million per year to a lobby firm in Washington D.C. to help them get the years of Trump. So that's another angle of the conversation.
You see, these are reasons why I sometimes believe that military rule is better, or was better. Military rule was better. I cannot imagine any of the military governments going to a foreign country to pay money to lobby groups to push our case through. It never happened under the military dispensation.
Sorry, I'm not. Yeah, what you just said is very important. It's not even then they will ask us, what case are we pushing? Because what are we paying money for? And for if me and you are fighting, it's just like me and you are fighting. It's not that because if you look at it, the people we are fighting, they are not strangers. So I will now go and pay somebody. They will now go and pay somebody to come and say to us, because that's pretty much what it is. The person we are paying, they tell us, hey, fix your house. So that means there's more to it that we are not telling us. Mr. James.
Look, the country don't tire me. I'm fed up with Nigeria.
So,
You get the point?
yeah.
You know, as I always say, students who studied diligently, prepare rigorously for an exam, they still find it terribly difficult to pass the exam. Refuse to study. You got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I see the whole situation. Nations are working very hard to develop, taking giant strides towards industrialization. Here we are running after money, women, alcohol, holidays. You know, anyway,
Yeah. So, yeah, just for it's for us to just enjoy the moment as far as I'm concerned, just to pay attention to see one way or the other.
you see, the earlier we come to terms with reality, the better. The country is beyond redemption. It's beyond redemption. Because when the problem started in 1960 or even before 60, people were saying, oh, well, the oncoming generation will sort things out. It's just a question of time. Now, that generation has almost passed away. The generation that took over from them, they've reinforced all those tribal, religious, and what have you, bigotries. And one is even afraid if future generations, 10 generations from now, can solve this problem. Because, you know, as you rightly pointed out, we are lying to each other. We, the people of Nigeria, have agreed to X, Y, Z. When did we come together to arrive at a consensus on how to move forward? We've never done it. So where did that phrase come from? The best thing actually is to pack up the country. That has been my position. There's no need for any bloody election to take place. 2027 election is going to be very bloody. The fools will die. In a battle that has nothing to do with them. Just like we, the Africans, died during the First and Second World Wars. These are wars we knew absolutely nothing about. We died like chickens, and no compensation was paid. At the end of the day, they even shared African territories among the victorious powers. Nobody
Yeah,
talked about
because they have to
compensating
recover what
Africa
they,
for the whole thing. So you see
they
the
have to
point.
recover what they lost. Yeah.
So the best thing actually is to work out modalities to pack up the country. As you pointed out, there are some minerals in the north now. They have gold, they have lithium, they have whatever it is. They can use that to get themselves organized. The other parts of the country should work out the modalities on how to get along, and we become neighboring republics, or what there's a word in English, contiguous republics, different identity altogether. There's absolutely no way we can work out these modalities. But however, what I find very interesting now is that you can now hear northern leaders speaking their mind, acknowledging that they have failed their people since this bombing took place. They'll be speaking from both sides of their mouth, acknowledging that they failed their people and there's need for them to rethink. And that is why our stupid uncle, what's his name? This Sheikh Gumi, is talking of Marshall Plan. I even find it very funny for you to even talk about Marshall Plan. That word Marshall is an American word, American idea, which is now incorporating. This is a man who has been anti-America all his life. Because they have bombed Sokoto, he's not talking about an American plan to solve his own Islamic problem. Maybe he do not know the history behind that Marshall Plan. Maybe somebody just mentioned it to him and he just used it without knowing the implication. So that's how it is. He said instead of pumping money into sports, they should use it to look after his people. The money they spent earlier on looking after their people, nobody is telling them to come and give account. The money they generate in the country, over half of it is spent on the northern Nigeria. Nobody's telling them to give account, yet they are demanding more. So it is time to pack up the country. There's no need for 2027 election. That's it.
Uzo,
Yeah, my boy. My guy, what's up?
I greet you, sir.
Hello, Mr. James. Hello.
Well done.
Mr. James.
Yes. Well, my people will say Brendo.
He said my people.
my people. My people. I remember that word, my people. Our governor. So, I was just ask Mr. James, so if you are to be in the shoe of Nigeria, for you to divide Nigeria, how many places you want to divide it? And how are you going to do it?
That's a very good question. The issue is there is no clear-cut answer to that question because of the acrimony and diversities we've been contending with over the years. Now that the country is in a shaky situation, I'm expecting the leaders of thought to come together behind the scene to work out the modalities of how to govern the people when the country eventually collapses. For example, the people of Middle Belt, if they believe they have a lot of things in common, the leaders of thought should come together to work out the modalities, who should be among us, who should not be among us. The Igbos and the coastal minorities, behind the scene, they should come together to work out the modalities on how to govern the people.
Then Mr. James said, get one word that you guys normally use, that sometimes I look at them as if we are the one also propelling all these things. What do you mean by calling people coastal minority?
No, what I mean,
No,
excuse me, what I mean is this. What is the population of Eastern Nigeria? There's no other ethnic group in that region that has half of the population of Eastern Nigeria. That is why I refer to that region as coastal minorities. Not that they are inferior, does not connote inferiority. That's what I mean.
No, that's not even where I'm coming from. I mean, like, over we come now, we say we are minorities. You know, they don't even like when we talk about Nigeria, they even from the day will tell you they talk about Yoruba, Igbo and Yoruba on their own hand, not that somebody is even telling them. You know,
No.
we talk about the political.
Uzo, you have
the issue is the issue is this. Look at the Yorubas. I'm sure they are nothing less than 20 million. But look at the Edos, not even Edo State. Edo State. I doubt if they're up to 5 million. Am I wrong?
Yeah, we're about.
Good. So you
But it's just a state. Now look at the south.
No. The state is this artificial creation. It is Yakubu Gowon who brought the idea of states. We were having regions. The Yorubas form a full-fledged region of millions of people, and those were just like a drop of water in their midst. So that is it. It is within that context. I'm using the word minority. Minority does not connote inferiority. After all, Japan, the population of Japan is very small compared to the population of, let's say, Bangladesh, for example. But what the Japanese have accomplished, the people of Bangladesh might not be able to accomplish it in their lifetime. Look at Singapore. Yeah. The population is so small compared to the population of Nigeria. But still, I mean, you can see what they have accomplished. So minority does not mean inferiority. Yep. So as I was saying, you see the Yorubas, they are good enough to form a country of their own because of the linguistic uniformity. They all speak the same language, though with different dialects. It's only the Yorubas that will be able to solve that problem easily in the whole of the country. although they might have some problems when it comes to reclaiming Kwara and Kogi states. They might have some problems. But apart from that, I don't see any serious problem that will stop them from forming a country of their own. So I cannot tell you how many countries will come out of Nigeria. It's going to be through negotiation among the leaders of thought in different parts of the country.
Okay, my point is that even the Yorubas, right? You take away Paras and Kogis, Kogis, though, between Osho, Ekiti, that's this, that's. I know they can hold on their own, though. They have Lagos in there that can manage, that can pull up economic hub. Lagos can do that, can pull up economic hub. That's the only state. Even from the southeast, I know quite all right. Normally, Port Harcourt should be in terms of south. We from the southeast, because we invested a lot in Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt, we have been our own. Okay, from the south, southeast, south. Port Harcourt, we have our own hub. But tribal and this thing have make it people move away from there. So right now, I don't believe that even we're talking about Biafra, all right? Biafra is child of a necessity, not that people want it, but how things are moving. That's why people are talking about Biafra. Not that if things are properly done the way it should be, nobody will talk about Biafra. Everybody just want to thrive and enjoy life. Nobody want to spending. No government, no government presence, and you say we are one. So that's my own take on that. Yeah, we know that Lagos can hold on their own with between the other states. I mean, Lagos State is they also see like the Kogi people. They don't see them as Yorubas. Yes, they see them as live in Lagos. They isolate them, and they also isolate themselves, living in one particular place called Abule Igbira or Abule this, Abule that. They don't miss call like a Yoruba person, the same as they're not on that. They don't mean like they don't other means like that. So, but my own point is Yoruba can hold their own between Osho, Lagos, Ogun State, Ekiti, and all that. They can hold on their own, which I know that Lagos is only state that the whole thing is. It can be possible. But minus that, people from the start is like, for example, the only Imo State, Abia, Anambra, Enugu, that can say, okay, Adoboni, you can say, okay, these are 5 states. Yeah, we have our own other Igbo speaking tribes in other states also, all right? Which I believe only thing they can do that is by referendum. They want to be or don't want to be. Nobody will be forced to go here, or to just like those states. I know some parts also close to Kogi, all those places are really all those places. You think that they're Yoruba. They're like when I even went out with I thought like I would support Awuchi. They are all like full Muslims. I thought that it not be they don't be this. They are all like full Muslims, but they speak language. So it's not like a referendum. So okay, where do you wanna be? Everything will be fine. But the way it's going, the tribal this thing in the country is too much. The tribal stuff in the country is too much. Even it's too much, man.
Sorry, I don't believe in referendum for this reason. You mentioned Lagos. Lagos was not built in a day. It was built gradually since the colonial times till now. You get the point? Now, Port Harcourt, Calabar, and other coastal towns, it's just a question of time. With the right government in place, these cities will evolve. Now, if you compare Nigeria with Ghana, the Ashantis in Ghana, they are around Kumasi. The Ashantis, they are around Kumasi and Bronga Hafu. They are inland people. They have no connection. What's making the noise?
Keep on. Let me.
The Ashantis in Ghana, they have no access to the coastline, because at the coast you have the Ewe people, the Ga people, and the I think is it the Twi? No, sorry, these people around Cape Coast. I will remember their name. Along the coast, they have their coastal minorities. Then inland, that is where you have the Ashantis in Ashanti region of Brongahafo. That is exactly the position the Igbos are occupying in Nigeria. Inland, you have the Igbos. Along the coast, you have coastal minorities. You get the point I'm making? So, but in Ghana, they are able to live together. The Ashanti man and the coastal people, they don't see any difference among themselves. I mean, along tribal lines. They might have their own internal little squabbles here and there, but tribalism, the way it is in Nigeria, is not so in Ghana. So it's just a question of reaching understanding. How will the country be governed? The leaders of thought in Port Harcourt, Akwa Ibom, what's it called, Cross Rivers, Edo, Delta, and other states that feel they can work together, they will sit down and work out the modalities. How should we govern ourselves? What name should the country bear? They can call it, let's say, Federated States of the Niger Delta. And these things can be worked out. When it is worked out, they will take it to a reasonable organization like the United Nations. They will sign agreements on how we are going to relate with each other. If there are problems, how do we solve it? Then when they finish solving those kind of things, now they are going to run the territory as one country. Now, if, for example, you are an Igbo man, you want to import goods through Port Harcourt, they will charge you as if you are a native of Port Harcourt. If you are an Igbo man or Igbo boy, or let's say Calabar boy, you want to go to school in Edo State, you are going to pay the same school fees as an Edo student because you are part of the Federated States. All this, I'm just thinking aloud. What I'm saying now might not be workable the way what they call painting it. But however, the leaders of thought will be able to sit down and work out the modalities. Issues concerning marriages, ownership of land, farming, as many topics as possible should be thoroughly spelled out. If there are gray areas, which they did not mention during the agreement period, how will such problems be handled in future? These things can be worked out. You see that the Igbo man will live in peace with the Kwere man, the way the Ashanti man is living in peace with the Ga man, with the what's it called, with the coastal minorities in Ghana. So these things are very possible. You get the point I'm making. Lagos is developed, that is true. They can take off from Lagos, but in other parts of the country, we have their regional centers of development from which they will take off.
Mr. Jim, I think that our problem is not even that complicated. It's not even that. I think to some extent we have gone beyond that in the sense that where you school and all that kind of stuff. I think the biggest issue that these people are having is, okay, we agree to build a nation, whatever they agree on, but what is going to be the moral way of the nation that we want to build? I think that's where the problem is at this point. Because at this point, in terms of religion, tribal land, that land is dying gradually. So
Yes.
now what is the moral will be the moral standard of the nation is what they are fighting on, and the way they are fighting about it, they don't want to action, because if they have a conversation, it's a secular way of going forward, right? But that secular of going forward is what we are claim to be practicing. But as far as they are concerned, it's not giving anyone power over other. So what is happening here is they are now using the instrument of that state, that little agreement that we have. They are now using it to build their capacity, so that one day they can overwhelmingly say this is the moral way the nation have to go. I think that is what is happening.
Well, if we wait for
Because if you look at them, they don't seem to.
no, they are confused.
And I
They are
think Nigeria
confused.
is
No,
angry because there's poverty.
no, you
That's
see,
what our problem.
the ruling class is terribly confused. The Yoruba leaders of thought do not know how to relate with the northern leaders of thought. The Igbos do not know how to relate with the others, and the others do not know how to relate with it. There's total confusion in the whole country. This is why
Yes,
when people are talking, before they make about 10 to 20 sentences, you will know the region it comes from. Either it's a
yes.
minority
We
or it's a northerner, easterner, because of the confusion. Nobody speaks like a Nigerian because there's
yes,
no Nigerian way. There's no Nigerian way of looking at things when we're
yes.
dealing with it.
And I think the only solution to that is it lies in the next generation who will not understand God as we today carry it. Because as we see, even maybe it's an act of pretense, but there is number in that act of pretense. When I mean act of pretense, we claim to be Christian, for instance, right? Do we really follow what Christianity is about? No, but there are a lot of people who are pretending in that direction. So because there are a lot of people, I better follow along so that because it is that numbers that will give me power. So it will a generation will come that they are not interested in heaven. Then they will not know, okay, how do we live happily here? Since we are not even welcome in America as it is, or in England, or in so it will come to that generation because now our leaders still have, other than the fact that they are deceiving the poor people, they also have a layer above them who strive on that too. So until we have a generation that will not care, because now the younger generation, like my generation, really we don't really care that you are Yoruba or Saibo, right? We'll marry you, we go out with you, we'll fight with you, we will live together, we do everything together. We don't care. That's not even get friction. Is it because we are poor and we are still using that as a relic? So I believe our generation that will come from us we not see tribe as their problem just because we have defeated that. Forget about it is because these leaders are still, that's the only thing that will keep them in power. That's why they are still financing that kind of conversation. But my generation will not use that. Right? So,
No,
and my generation too are beginning to question what religion is about.
it's not a
So I
question
think
of it's not a question of religion strictly. Somebody like me,
no,
do not
what I'm
believe
saying
in God.
we have
No,
been taken
no.
advantage of because of that. I'm not saying it's
Yeah,
important. So we
yeah,
have been taken advantage of because we still hold on to
yeah.
it. Yeah,
Somebody like me do not believe in God or devil. You get the point?
exactly.
But I know where I pitch my tent
Yes.
in the scheme of things. Good. Now, the issue also is this. There is very serious foreign interference in our internal affairs because of our inability to get ourselves organized.
Yes.
The military were able to hold the country firmly, resisting outside interference to a very large extent, not totally, because whenever whenever there was a military coup in those days, there's a statement they always make, and that is, all foreign interests will be protected. That foreign interest means nothing but crude oil sales or drilling. And once that statement is made, the Western countries, they back down because their interests are well protected. Now, from the look of things, the Westerners in particular, and also the Easterners now, they are, they are interfering with the way the country is governed. For example, look at the visa problem imposed on the country by Trump. Although I'm not against it totally, I support it in some ways. Because of that visa imposition, a lot of people will be speaking with both sides of their mouth now, like Sheikh Gumi, for example, or people of his type. They had investments in the US, massive investments. With the action they've taken now, they can no longer go to the US to sort out issues with their companies or business partners. Now, this will force them to be pursuing policies that are counterproductive to the national interests in their own interests. So this is one thing we should also factor in. Future generations or present generations, as long as they have interests to protect outside the country, they cannot see things clearly from a Nigerian point of view. This is one big serious problem. Look at the Japanese. How many Japanese have got investments in China? How many Chinese have got investment in US?
But
Yes.
No, Mr. James.
Mr. James. But don't you
Mr.
wait, let me answer just something. Wait, let me answer just something.
They
Mr. James,
have individually, they have investments in these countries, but they make sure they repatriate their earnings back to their countries of origin. But here in Africa, whenever we steal money, we pack the money principally to Western banks, not even Eastern banks. So interference in our internal affairs is one of the reasons why we cannot see or reason clearly.
They
okay,
cannot
Mr. James, yeah.
interfere because we.
Obvious.
Go ahead.
Mr. James, do you think that the visa ban will affect the rich in Nigeria? It's also the poor because there's a bond.
Look,
Do you think that someone like there's a bond?
I'm sorry for interrupting you. The Americans don't care if it affects the poor or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it only affects. Yeah,
but
only affect the poor.
No, not only the poor.
That's not even the problem.
That's not the problem. Look, let me tell you the way I look at it. I think I explained it here some time ago. The Islamic fundamentalists in the Middle East, the US has been able to decimate the whole of them, scatter the Al-Qaeda, what have you. They've scattered the whole of them. They have nowhere to assemble now other than West Africa. That's why they brought ISIS here. Now, if they use Nigeria as a base, for example, if they use Nigeria as a base, a man from Niger can come to Nigeria, obtain Nigerian papers, and go to the US to be creating problems. A Burkina Faso man, a Malian man can come to Nigeria, or what they call Chad can come to Nigeria, obtain Nigerian papers, and causing problem in the US. We are not documented in Nigeria. So you can, a good example is, let me cite two examples. During the Nigerian Civil War, a lot of people came from Niger to enlist in the Nigerian military, and they rose to become generals in Nigerian military. Buhari's father is a Nigerian. He was a man in the House of Assembly they call Sugar Bar, during Shagari time. The man was deported to Chad Republic because he was creating problems in the Borno State House of Assembly. He belonged to GNP, I can't remember. So you cannot tell a West African from a Nigerian. So if the US government is not careful, the US government for now, they're taking care of the Sahelian states. For anybody to go to America from the Sahelian states, they can easily take care of them. But if Nigeria is not closed to these people, to these guys, they will be using Nigeria as an escape route. And with actions at the moment, like these bombings and what have you, they can start creating problems there in the United States. So in their own interest, they need to clamp down on Nigeria seriously. This is what is happening.
The problem of the visa ban is not even
obvious. Something I'm saying.
The problem is the question is what is the reason for the visa ban? It's because of Christian genocide. So that's the cross. That is the reason why.
Okay, obvious.
So
obvious.
Yes,
obvious. He said because of the Christian genocide. All right. How many of these Islamic come to the United States? People that have 80% or 90% that put that come to this country at the starter house, which are Christian, dominated Christians. All right. Now, why I say that this visa ban, it doesn't concern America, all right? Because at the end of the day, somebody like rest of the Oregon people, he will come here, 15,000 bond, you're going to drop it. It's not to them. It's with the poor people, the students that come here. Someone like people want. But the poor man cannot want that. A middle class man cannot want that.
So,
So
you
the
are that's
public benefit is rich, not the poor.
that's not the problem. That's you guys are worrying about what it is the reason. In fact, the reason is still there. The question is, what next are they going to do? It's just like they are saying there's insecurity in your village. Eh? Instead of you to be asking why there is security, you say, oh, 10 people die, oh, 4 people die, oh. Oh, now only poor people that they kill, oh, now only women that they kill, oh. That's not going to stop it. So the question is, they are giving you reason why they do it. So that's why I say you know, see them for TV, they don't seems to care. So that's why I said now, until the generation that will come, the reason why they will not see religion as a problem, okay, because religion will not be profitable. There's too much money in religions now, and there's a reason why there is money. That's again, this is because there's so many people in that process. So by the time you find a way to take money out of church, you will see the founder will start disappearing one at a time. So after that time, reality will set in again. So the division that we are experiencing will not be there. So, but we wait there now. You go hard. It's very hard.
Who is Onawe there? What do you mean by who
All
is
of
there?
us were there alive. We they talk.
You
We
were that,
Nigeria,
you were that, bro.
we-
You were the US, Abi. Yeah, yeah,
every
man.
one of us now really not be one go heaven. I know they talk of it doesn't matter where you there as a Nigerian. You either you want to go heaven as a Muslim as a Christian. So that the problem we will get be that until that is not the goal, then we'll begin to reason. Well, are we going to perish as slaves or we will die as so until then? That's why we dey forget about it with the hungry easily. Now only religion will make you forget hunger, Abi. So, if you did Nigeria, but yeah, now it make you if you don't go work.
There, Diana. Hungry will finish you.
Exactly. You are not dreaming of heaven, you are dreaming of how to make life
Survive
fit your hair.
better.
So Nigeria, God day, God day. And if that man
Hungry will
make
feed
it
them.
do what they do, God day, God go punish her.
Hungry the key. They say God there.
God go punish her, God go punish her. Like, so until
And the person will be successful.
exactly.
For
Until
your
God
profit, they say God punish her.
it never be weapon again. Before we go there. Right now, I lie. So if I want to become president too, I will because majority of the people, the only way to get their attention are to touch waiting they hold there, either to destroy that thing or to build that thing, which is religion. Okay? If you want to annoy the Muslim to the poor now, go to Saudi Arabia make you see. You lose all your followers. But if you also want to gain their trust, respect their religion, praise their religion, they will follow. The same thing with the Christian too. So until the next generation, just like your children now, right? Your children are not AI and be their problem. No be God, no be Jesus Christ, no be Abi. Then they think about how AI, how they go to use AI.
My son, like I want to fly drone for here, go keep back people for.
Right. So until when we are getting there, that's what social media they bring up, right? Social media they bring internet brings social media bring all those things to that's why the Sultan they complain. Because not be only you now the children they listen to. They get other source too. Now you cannot control. Before you go say they no put TV, may MTV no come not, may all these things no come and you okay. But now how do you do it? You can't stop your internet.
Now, even though, like sometimes you seize the tablet, seize the whatever they're playing. Maybe you want to do something. The only way to do what you want to do is to keep them busy with something.
Yeah.
Maybe they have gone to sleep. They wake up. You want to do some homework. You want some project. You want to take charge of. The only way out, nobody to help you to look after them. We here that have no help is to keep them busy with something. And what is that? Internet.
So we are getting to a point here where we say they don't even need you again. They don't need you to carry them go school. They don't need you to do anything because they go just talk to car go carry them go come back. Anything you understand? So and this one now, this is now not just go the happen for America alone. As it happen for New York, it go the happen for Abuja. I be a driverless car not the Nigeria. Electric car not the Nigeria. I mean, electric car in Nigeria now.
No, it's electric car. We talk about drive no, what do they call it? Self-drive car.
So now before we say go this like 40, 50 years before we go. So now it happen the same time. So that's why you know if you control within the next generation, within they go prioritize again. Before you go say them
But not be small. Though. I went to eat the other day. All right, with my wife last week. But normally you see about 10, 15, 20 in a restaurant serving you. When they don't reach 5 and I just for you, they get like tray. It's like a table tray. There's a robot, man. Then they bring food, come everything. I was like, it's happening. It's happening. I tell my wife, say it's happening. Here I used to be so many servers, but right now you just have to for you to just
next time you not go see anybody and you go see anybody again.
they just take your order. That's it. You sit down, you just see something they roll the cup. Like I said, a vacuum. Three tray, front of you there. Take your food.
The introduction of IT has revolutionized the whole wide world. I agree with you, Mr. Obi. During my university days, I remember there was no university in the whole of northern Nigeria offering degree programs in philosophy. There was none. Be it Ahmadu Bello, Maiduguri, Sokoto, Kwara, the whole of the north, Jos and all. None is also BA philosophy, MA or PhD philosophy. These are deliberate attempts to keep the people down.
Yes.
Not to expose them to Western thought. But what's it called? The IT, the internet these days, you know, the internet is the biggest library man has ever invented.
Sorry, Mr.
And
James. When you are talking about 3 years, you're talking about what, 40, 50 years ago, right?
Yes.
Now, Gumi himself is complaining that as today in northern Nigeria, they have 150 higher institution. It is not enough. This is Gumi. This is not you. This is not you.
You're correct. I heard him. You are correct. The man do not know what he's talking about. Look, it is not. Look, Mr. Ovier. It is not the number of universities that matters, but the quality.
I'm just saying that even themselves,
all the universities,
they cannot even control it anymore.
All the universities in Nigeria, if you combine their research effort together, they do not even reach half of what Massachusetts Institute of Technology is into. Not to talk of Harvard, UCLA, California.
No. Mr. James,
Mr. James, I'm telling you the truth now.
No, that's too much now.
Excuse me. Excuse me, Ovier. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
I am agreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I am just saying, even that the university you are calling is too much.
If you look at all the research publications in peer-reviewed journals in a year throughout the world, how many comes from Nigeria? Quality journals.
I don't know.
But Mr. James, you know that the workforce here, those major universities, is the community college that is holding the workforce here in the States. Like community college, not even universities. That's one thing I find out. Most of 80% of people on the work surface went to community colleges, not big universities. People you see on those big universities are foreigners.
I think the point I'm trying to make is that before, just as you said, Mr. James, they are the one that is restricting the northern Nigeria not to get involved in all these things. So they have zero. So today now, those same people who are saying in order for us to protect our society is to deny them this education. The same people are now saying, come on, what we have now is not even enough. We need to. So the irony of it now, so it's not that you that is proposing now that come, you're investing, you need more. No, they are the one that say come on. What we rejected yesterday, today we don't have enough of it. So, and that is because they've understand that they have lost that monopoly of controlling especially the young ones, how to think or what direction to look to. So the internet, as you said, from internet, TV started. I think it started from TV. They control TV to some extent. Some programs, some station cannot be aired. Then it went into internet. Internet that becomes something that cannot control to some extent. Then the the biggest of it all comes with social media. Then now the social media AI is taking it to a different level. That means everything you will tell me, I will listen to you, right? But before you turn your back, I will check it to see if you are deceiving me or not. So it is very hard for especially the power brokers to control how the society think. And so it's a big they're in a very big problem that they don't actually know what to do. So that's why they resort towards the the civilizations. Even the bigger picture, the American, the Western world, they also frame their problem along survival of the civilization because they too cannot control the lies anymore. So the idea how they twisted history, what is history about them, about you, about me, is becoming they cannot control it anymore. That's why I think I remember on Dr. Damages where we were talking about this Benin artifacts, that you should be listening to them where what the artifact should go or not. That some people even had the idea that we should be grateful. I was like, nah, these people they don't know how to lie to their own children anymore. Before you will say that it is our great grandfather who was so powerful, they went for exhibition, all kind of bullshit. So it's becoming too fucking crazy for you to tell the child that you took to a museum how you got Benin bronze in London. Because everything you tell that kid, he or she will go and face her peers. Peers will may likely come from Edo or from Meduguri or from where they will tell you, say, "Come, these things were stolen from us by your people." And by the time you say, "Yeah, Jack, Jack, Jack," they will pull it before you. Everything will be right there, instant. So it's becoming an embarrassing way to tell their story, their own history. So they have to now find a way to say as if they are doing us a favor. No, you are not doing anybody a favor. Keep it. If you can still keep it, we no one, just keep up. Let's see. If it's because of that, it's causing problem within themselves. Because if you pay attention to the conversation, right? How do we coexist with all these civilization? So the same right this person we saying on there, where they born grandfather there, we now know why in there. So there's a big of conversation control as a confusion within the Western civilization based on the story they used to tell, and they can't tell it no more. So at the pressure where the guardians of religions, the guardians of tribes, our leaders are going through. See now, Bola Tinubu don't go higher lobbyist. The contract was reached on the 17th of December. Less than a month, everybody we don't know. Before we no go know. Not till maybe 6 months later. Mr. James touched on something about how during during the military regime, they can keep one united front, and that's true. That is because the order come from one place, so everywhere is monitored. If you go according to what the Baba want from Abuja, you get the justice immediately. Now, that's why when America wanted to take over Nigeria, power over the British, they had to make sure it's a democratic process like we have in a presidential system. And one disadvantage of the presidential system that we have it mirror the open society. One of the disadvantages of open society, everybody is loose in the name of progress. So why you see that the Abuja cannot control the narrative of what is happening in northern Nigeria, aka to Christian people, it is because as they try cover the story of North, somebody don't carry two left leg for Bini, or for Port Harcourt, or for Enugu. Phew, don't fly go. In fact, it's not even they know they hide because before you have to go you have to go on exile, right? During the military, they have to go on exile self before you even get access to Western ear in a way. But today, you go even in your room self. You they stream what is happening in the north to Washington DC. So you see, when you say military regime kind of good in a way, from that national front to front in national idea oneness, yes, it's very easy that way, and that's why if you again where you have to mirror it to the Chinese governing system, now one party system. That's again if you want to make case for one party system, you have to also look at it from that perspective. We live in a nation whereby it's too loose. The Igbo man, because he did not give him power, he's a go verse, go tell story for Washington DC and nothing will happen to them, right? The Hausa man, because he good luck, one follow constitution, all of them carry their two left leg, go sit down for Washington DC, they beg Obama make her take power, right? That's what democracy and a multi-party system, the danger of it. So in order for us to close the loophole, maybe now one party system will good. But how do we also keep a secret within one party system when we have three big foolish tribes hustling for power and they are divided along two religions?
Who are the three foolish tribes?
You are one
Are you
of
not
them.
among? Are you not among? You know what
No, no,
power?
no, no. I don't
Okay, who tribe who came for into? And Abobio, Ababio, which tribe they fall into?
those ones, they don't fall into the big foolish
Who are the
tribes. Those ones take advantage of our foolishness. They get power.
this guy, this guy. Every Nigerian is stupid. It doesn't matter a tribe. All of them, they're all stupid. All of them also for power.
That's so now. How do you think say we will not get the numbers in terms of tribe, in terms of religion? How do you say we go take get power if we not take advantage of our foolishness? And the only way be that. So if you look at us, well, that's why when people they insult Reno, I just they listen. They don't know what Reno they do. Reno, nobody in terms of power hierarchy. How do you think he can get into the system if he know just decide to jam two tribes together, the two foolish fools? That's exactly what happened. It's a game. So we will not belong to these three foolish tribes and these two religions.
So
That's the only way we
you
survive.
belong to any religion also?
No. So the only way I can survive is not to belong because if I choose to choose one tribe now, go to the Igbo now, the remaining two go crush me. Now go sacrifice me first. I know when I go start go one front.
They tell you say, man, I was this about 0.1% of those we are talking about. The average Igbo man is not is getting anything from the tribe.
No, we know they talk about that. We are talking about political. We are speaking politically now. How they because that's what moved the country now. So if I go to man,
it's
when
just foolish individuals. It's foolish individuals, one by two, foolish individuals.
but now no one take care of them now. They represent una. If una say now only one person they destroy una, now una will take care of her. Nobody will go take care of una. We will go just capitalize on them, take see road. So it is not our problem. Say now people they destroy una.
Okay, how many senates the 5 eastern states?
You say?
How many members Senate?
I know you are far from where you far from where you're
I mean,
from.
how many members? All right, do we have in 5 eastern states?
All that.
Like how many Senate do 5
exactly?
eastern states produce in the
I don't know.
Senate?
They give them.
We have 5 states.
That will be 15, I think.
How many did Sasa produce? I'm getting
18.
somewhere. 18.
18.
I don't know more higher than the artist.
You know they understand. See, listen, fair. You know they understand waiting at the talk. We know they come as group. You know understand? You understand? You never see Reno Mokri saying they fight because of saying be South. No. I rather say Ingo rather say be John man or Robo man because now he go favor our part. Because
majority now for paper you don't for individual.
That's why they talk say now see now una never understand the game where those few people where they use una name take the job. Now una never understand. Una fit deny them all una want. That's the more una deny them, the better for us. We come from small tribe. Because they go need us to complete their number. So in order, because they need us, go to say, come on, this is what we want. Because that's the only way we go to survive. So the only way we no go to survive, now if we now come together, crush those few people where they use una name, take the job. Nobody we go do one for una. If una they expect we go do one for una, where you guys never see understand the game where we they play. You understand? If I want find position for Abuja, this I go the concert from South. No, I go tell you say I be from Otoso person self. You know why? Because the 3 foolish tribe, because they fight, they want more numbers, so they go want me. But if I foolishly join you, when push come to shove, I mean you go put for war front. I mean you want me then shoot first. The same thing with the Yoruba man, the same thing with the Osama. So since now, so it will be where I go want to assimilate. I rather stand on my own, at least. I stand a chance of survival because I go just look here and there. Who will win? Whoever will win, I will join out.
They will join. This guy's
So that's so we take the see our So when they see Wike, so Wike know why in the talk say he no be Igbo man. Because he hold power. If he say he be Igbo man now, he go to drive power with Uzokalu, it will be I mean all those people, another 5 people govern. No. He said no. So the best thing to do go to no, I no be Igbo man. No. I mean query man. So everything you have to look at it from the game way, the way the country that they arrange out. If you look at it that way, you will see why these guys they move the way that they move. But you say to say Bola Tinubu na Benin man, go say na emi local. Or even be Robo man, go say na emi local. He no go video out. So he has to frame it emi local because the numbers they with them already. He didn't get some cutting number. That number is big enough to bargain.
Mm-hmm.
So democracy, people with these Americans will frame this kind of democracy. They know what they do. All you need to understand has to go back to those people we found out. All these people who they call founders of America. So who them be? Now they are the minority of the minority at that time. Minority in the sense that now only men them be. that is 50% of the population. They don't come out there for with that women. 2, now only rich people must have property, must get money before you feed the other level. Again, they don't reduce the competition again. These are the people that define this democracy way with the practice. So they define that to protect the few people who get property that time. So now see the system they go on. So if you look at all those people who are in they destroy their name, and then get wealth for now the Igbo land now all those people politicians and their friends, and then get the wealth. So what they are doing, they are protecting the wealth with una name, because they come, I am an Igbo man. So if we put our insult, our madness aside, we will see everything clearly. Why these people they do what they do.
Yep.
So they know that it's a very clever way of surviving. And surviving. So the problem where why the middle belt people know they successful, right? Like the Niger Delta people, it is because the Hausas don't dominate them in so many ways. You understand? The majority language where they speak for that middle belt na say Hausa. So you see how they don't blend their word. So we know how to dominate the Niger Delta. Neither do we allow the Yorubas to dominate us fully.
Say
You
south
understand?
south. So say south, not Niger
Now
Delta.
the same thing now. Niger Delta,
Not
South South.
the same thing, my friend. No, so not the same thing. They are different.
Which states know the Niger Delta? Where they
You forget to say Imo State and Abia then Niger Delta. You forget that?
okay,
Under the
I get
commission.
you. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, just say south south. Yeah.
South South. So you see, say they know that's why there's advantage to that. So that the fact that we know they speak the same language also there's advantage to it. You understand?
Everything is political. That's not my point.
So if you that's why I say politics is local. If you just look at it from your own where you come from, you go see say okay, there's actually a place for me here. If I actually follow and well the way they design them, you go use what you get.
I'm not quite all right. Assume you see something we're talking about. Assume is the
Come, you far from your phone.
Okay, let me go back. Assume the presidential ticket was zoned to the southeast to the Igbos in 2023. We came for cleansing the Igbo.
Of course.
With full force.
Even Amechi.
Even America saying people with full force. Oh, everything political.
But just that it go hard for them to succeed because they know if to say now then get money pass. So if to say okay, they that's the only way they go force the narrative.
No, tell you only place no, people love Wike before. People love him before. I tell you where he said by fire. I tell you where it's by fire. Obibo. What did you know, Obibo? That make Wike backfire. People love him. For it's actually they love Wike before. But now Obibo make him backfire.
But now because
never clear a mess.
Now because
that's a good problem.
Una know they think like politician, or you think a politics. If you see life of a politician like your own life, right? We just use that as example now. Then you go trust him because as a politician, in dream one day now to get to the top, which is to be president. It doesn't matter where you come from or where you start from. As a politician, right? That's your dream. And then you go come through.
It's good to get that power.
So now him go they calculate. So then they always think ahead. You understand? So if you like her now, you should be able to think ahead of her because as if they move forward, now in promotion and they pay, regardless of waiting, I go to affect you. That's not be a problem. That's your problem.
Look at Siren. Feel like beg of not die now in our business with that.
Now, just the
Now
analogy
the end
why,
game.
where the analogy why I give, why I talk say now because at least the middle beds they don't the language is encroached and at the same thing. If you look at it from religious point of view too, the Muslim religion was able to conquer pretty much the whole north, but that the bad thing is that they can't even conquer the west because Muslims are the majority in southwest among the Yorubas. That's one thing people are not talking about.
That what? You say what? You say what? You said.
The majority among the
I don't know why. But I
so
don't know why people. I don't know why people are adapting that.
so you see why when people they talk, people know they see why what did they embolden the Islamic State, not necessarily because it they be Hausa, they jump between Hausa and Fulani. The majority of the Yoruba self are in that faith. So those who see they believe in Nigeria will not be Islamic State one day, they know they see tomorrow. And they see tomorrow. They don't even enter part of. They don't chop a lot of into the South and South.
You what? Enter South.
You understand? Because another thing why I need to well, I'm not going to visit a majority in the Edo, but the whole Edo North for sure they are the majority. Nigeria they never.
No, but it has been like that. It has been like that for a long time now. As I said, when I went to Awuchi, I was surprised that almost everybody there are Muslim.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know now.
Yeah, I was surprised though.
Naishan land.
It's just like AY. AY is a Muslim, but he wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But they won't find out. Or say him tell you say he Muslim, he wouldn't know.
So people are not looking at. All you need to do, look at where will they come from and where will they go. Then you go know who they make progress and who know they make progress. It's crazy. So
crazy,
the reason why you see say all these them all these are politicians from South Side they behave the way they behave. It's not far from that because it's all about survival.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I believe the only way we go fit to live well, all of us. Now, as it now make every state has authority over its territory. So I'm finish. I'm not going to follow you. I'm not going to deny that people man. No. If you do well, if I Igbo man say why go say call that guy now go do that problem.
Yeah, if
that's the modern world.
If everybody can, that's what everybody is talking. If anybody can, every state can be able to control its territory and what comes out and what goes out, then everybody will be happy. You know,
yeah, but because the lazy people,
somebody from the southeast will not be going to the north and look for, okay, how am I going to so I can be good? I can be a good person. I can get a contract on this, on that. That's not my point. You know that if you don't do good in your own region, you can't get nothing will come out of your region.
Yeah. That's what they do for China.
That will work.
That's the modern world we live in today. But
in Nigeria, it's not like that because
but that's where the influence from outside that Mr. J talked about comes in, because you have to understand which system favor those way from outside pass. Now this pretends with the one person will run everything now in favor them pass, because all you need to do is to start a business with the center, deal with the center, you are good. But if to say every state they run in notice, you have to, if you go to the center is not enough. You have to come down to the state. The state is not even enough. You have to go to the local government. Local government say go call the person who get the land. Say the land get the land, I have the finances. That's how. So until we get to that point, All that they do is like we just deceive ourselves.
Federal local government local government local government can be strong if
Local government
Nigeria is allowed.
if it's
Autonomies
strong.
can be strong if Nigeria allowed to be. If they allow it to be, because every money the local government made, it go back to the center to the federal also. So I don't see how that I don't see how they're going to improve local government now. I don't see how that work. Don't see how that work.
See, we are going see how that thing. We know how it go to happen automatically. Same way, social media technology they do destroy their monopoly of controlling. How nurse go take raise their children, how you understand they control the media. They say social media destroy everything. So now, so the common technology destroy that power where Abuja gets. You know why? You now, your you future, let's say your grandchildren in the future, they go sit down for their remote village, right? Because of the access they have to this, they will leave their city, they see New York, right? They will design and run a business and make money, without the federal government even know say that they make money.
It's happening already now.
So now the only person we go know say they make money now another of him mate for Katina, I for Boronu. You understand? So instead of making say he won't go the fight, tell Abuja make they go lie, he said go say Oga abeg, teach me how you do this thing.
Now, okay, now
They go meet for the cyber war. They go they enjoy their life.
For example, now, I just see person who I know, a girl from my village, I will post something on social media, all right? And this thing I need them. I need them badly. Like, oh, I can't call us, okay. I need this thing, how much? No, we don't negotiate now. Now they get around, they go back village, start them as a business.
So now once got one bad thing where the Tinubu government where they know, I don't know about that, I'm not going to visit, they don't know, but the bad side of this tax where they do so, it go force people enter the cyber world. You understand? Where
People is already there now.
Anything where they buy now, you understand? So once the government don't they lose control of tax, you go see many people they live for the country, but the tax within they pay in few big one. But everybody see they live as they really nothing concern them. They will come they use the draconian, ways. They go see the state go see they become powerless by the day. When you go see say the richest person in the world, in Nigeria, you go just a year in it, you don't know where in business they, so you know if you tax them. Now only when you spend money you go be tax them.
We are already there already though. You're talking like someone like this guy now. What they call him? You think that it's in Nigeria, but it's not in Nigeria. One also Mr. Misha influencer, they're not in Nigeria there. You think that in Nigeria making a lot of money.
So it's
so it happens already. So it's already there. It just when they talk in that generation,
when I talk say the Biafra, when I remember one time when Samuel see they go to I tell them say come, the Biafra might be the first urban nation in Africa. People just a joke as a joke.
Southern nation.
You don't use everybody for South, just leave their line and don't send again. You just say, "Call how these people do they flex." That's not your problem. You don't know everything.
My brother. Might tell you the truth. People they flex their line. They don't send
again. Say they don't understand. It's an interesting time we are in as human. We are moving to the. So when all those people they talk about burdens, that's pretty much part of what they mean, right? You just there your village, you live your life as you say, just like the Yahoo boys. I think that's a very, very now the foundation. I think when that tomorrow finally comes, the Yahoo boys will be seen as the pioneer. Right? Where one man will all the one village for Port Harcourt, they drive, they buy beds, right? They live for 5-star hotel. Like, this guy did the rubbish show. Now they criminalize them because we don't understand now. That's pretty much what it is. We are criminalized, we don't. All we do, but we know if we tax them, we know if we control it. So just like Igbo for America, man. God, this country. Anytime I just
what is that?
Yeah, it's more for California, New York, anywhere they don't legalize Igbo. There are more Igbo store than grocery shop in that state.
More Igbo stuff at Igbo.
I swear to God.
Igbo shop at Igbo.
Before you go see one provision store, you will see like 2, 3, 4 Igbo store. This is a country we say like 10 years ago. If they catch you for Igbo, you are done. Your life don't finish.
Yes, everything's going
because they
could not fast
it at that time. They had to criminalize.
Well, I'm not saying they watch. Okay, I'm not saying they watch soccer. They watch things that happen. You know, they for African Cup of Nations now. Will not be aligned.
Those people,
see dominance. Senegal dominate Egypt. I'm not expected.
Those boys, they are distraction. That's I'm concerned.
To who?
To who? Those boys, those are spoiled brats. I don't like them. I don't like footballers. I'm brat. They get money like they get blood money. Now what make me not like them with that? They work there. They work there. They work. Put in no reach how much they can. So just.
But you don't play ball before.
Why not?
It is easy to control ball. They say.
I was trying to say noisy. Which one be noisy? Noisy to control ball. Uzo, you compared to the work where they work now, right? Because you have from when I mean the work where they work now, you wake up in the morning, go to work, come back in the evening, every day. Compared to that one where they do, which one hard pass?
Because look at your own discipline. They are own discipline. Really?
Now they tell you discipline. Now they tell you. Now they don't say now that's what I'm saying. Now blood. They know the work where they put in. No reach. Now blood money.
I remember
I beef them. Now beef.
I went up to the beef of the beef. I went up 5:30, I go chop from the fourth row to it's Surulele, 50 feet. Later we come back. So it's not easy. That beef they beef them.
No be you set your time. No be you if you wake up there, you don't go sit down. If you walk,
boy, not easy though. Not easy, man.
Guy, I know these people. Beef. I get beef with them. When I they run that time, I work hard. So my beef self not be saying like regular work. Compared to all the other sports, we will work harder than these people.
And I'm making more than you.
They do anyhow. No, they do shakara. They are shakara. They're supposed to die for the country. They're supposed to be like soldiers. They are shakara too much.
Then, in the Lagos State, on the 13th, about go make places. But my school that time, I do like celebrating. See that guy will go play ball for video. So that pride is that kind of thing that they be. You know that at school like this, everybody see him online, they go, he's back, this, that. You know those kind of thing, talk. You make your hair go come the big, like if you want to explode. See that guy.
They're supposed to they're supposed to lawyer pass to Nigeria. Like they're supposed to lawyer.
But not be their fault too.
Now which person fault? Which person fault?
Now the that the way when masses they carry them. I just give one example. Little one I go
Oh,
play. I
I
know
don't
my head
see
too big.
what I'm
I don't
seeing.
see money. Oh.
If
Mhm.
you see, let's say you did that's what if you don't say they work where they work, eh? You did loyal to the work because you feel that they pay you well. That's why you did loyal to them, right? So what's be their excuse?
My excuse or their excuse.
Their excuse why they know they loyal, why they know feel put their blood and sweat for the country. They go just they do shakara because like I the best for them.
So I'm like, so
Like what people not complain? What people not complain? They hungry? Everything you want, you get them. I call it say Nigeria. Like you they craze. I think they always mess me, man. You see the see at times I just the now privilege oh. I swear to God, Uzo. Say make you wear green, white, green. That 5 minutes, that even on that day, yeah, you see the car hotel, you see the car with the live they under the national camp. You see the me wey be say that time I dey waka for worry that time nobody I go waka from ride bicycle trek anyhow nobody know me sef. And one time I dey come on that national anthem na siren na dey blow one. It's like it is a privilege to make Nigeria give you that platform. They will come they do the momo they will, like I don't just they all I see I don't know why I hate them. I swear I don't like them at all. Those people.
but it's not their fault, man. It's
Whose
not their fault, all
fault?
right. It's
I
not their
have to tell
fault.
you now what did they
But it's not
want
their
with them.
fault. It's not their fault.
No, I think that's like
It's just like you're on a season. Okay, for example, now you're on a season now. If your club company for Nigeria, they don't pay you. You see that happen also. They're not paying you.
Uzo.
Mm.
Uzo.
Mm.
You just come. People they work for Nigeria 3, 4, 5 months. They never pay them. They see they go work. You come. You not spend money. They fly you come. Most times, even a business flight, they fly you come. Put them in the best hotel for Nigeria. Give you the best food. What the fuck do you want? You get job, but nobody say you know. Just as you did now, Uzo. As you did now, you are doing well, right? Your village people come to us, they come for you, maybe you can't just represent them for 1 week. They pay for your flight ticket, put for you know spend money, make you just go, come back.
You know, today easy. This way talk now. Don't happen to me before. You know, this thing to make your work.
See, if they fight with the officials, with themselves, I agree. All those one, their managers, I don't. But make you come put the whole nation to be the sacrifice. I mean, you don't deserve anything. they always mess me. I know, like
You didn't get it. You didn't get the gift. I say I'm
because now they talk. I just give this. You did okay. You did like you are doing fucking well. Nothing. You don't get problem. Only one assignment they just come and do go. They say anything like they mad because of them. Now can't they misbehave? Look, just compare Nigerian players to other African countries. What reason do Nigerian players have? What reason they get? That time I remember when we they run. When we see all these other African countries, then they look us, then they look us. The way would they look at the Americans? Come on, Moses, I go mute you. I'll mute yourself. Yeah, mute yourself. Mute yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna meet myself.
So these boys, what do they want? Like, You are not lacking anything. So then they come, you out of millions, you are selected. You come to put it at it to represent your nation. Now we all call them misbehave. Misbehave. Say they don't give you another one, they don't give like you they mad. Like see at times now at times I go see to Nigeria and they see to Nigeria way of seeing things at times. Like we are spoiled. Like this shit they don't spoil. I will remember when just to tell you how privileged we are as a Nigerian athletes. We they look up to when we go competition, we they see the Americans, the British, I put the Jamaicans. No, let me not even put the Jamaicans aside. Those ones have now extreme example. We are looking to this big nation. Just you see, just by waiting their way alone, from their training gears to their competition gear to their leisure gear to their active gear to the church, everything is as in it comes in. In fact, I remember I'm not gonna forget Gordon James, one of our finest 400-meter runners. At the Olympic ground, the guy forget say na competition ground in the when they match them out of the core room to their lane. So when you carry you come on, once you enter core room, when you don't go warm up finish, you go core room. You know you are seeing your warm up gear. You see at time you see your you never will put on your spikes with your backpack. As the core room, they don't give you your lane. They tell you so they match you out. So now when you dey starting blow, you will begin take off your clothes, put them for bag. At time they see people or children stand for their bag, they collect their thing, go back room. During that process, the person where they got the James front, where they lay in front, and 400-meter run in America, the guy was kind of blown away with the can spikes, like running shoe. I think the guy the was blown. Because we then give I don't know how many few running shoe or whatever they give them carry go. That's exactly how some other African countries they see us. Anytime where they want follow us compete within the African continent, they come meet us, we go give them their WSF. That's to tell you the level where the federal government, right, even though as we they cry, say they know they try. But compared to if you now look at the other African countries, like say, come, we are spoiled. These guys come from big clubs. They get millions of dollars. Like they say, come and represent your country for 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month at most. You go they come. They misbehave. You can't give your best because you say the federation people, they play with your money or whatever. What kind of foolish excuse be that? They don't pay your allowance. Like for God's sake. Anyway, maybe not beef I get, but I think my beef is it's in the right place. It's in the goddamn level. So I don't know if they win that win. I know the anything. Because the sport brat, they are supposed to win in the first place. It's not even supposed to be a question. If Nigeria is spending that much on you, I don't think anything short than winning should be expected from you. And come, we were the athletics and other sport, other suffer because of these ingrates. Other sports, they suffer because of these fucking ingrates. Make I even put them. Make I even see where I see and show. Useless people. Give them everything. They give them. These motherfuckers know they fly economy if they invite them come camp. Go their hotels. They give them fucking From the financial test in anywhere they come. And then they'll come to complain. We really need a dictator to run that country at times. Who they play self? Shouldn't Africa, an African Cup of Nations they play. I've been waiting self. Useless motherfuckers. They don't start. That's it. I will just show massive where YouTube. YouTube in his labor time. So that's it, 0-0. I can't give you guys volume because YouTube might just track me down. Oh, now 1-1. Wait, oh. That's the disadvantage of not using the watch. Don't be real. Man watching the remote, the work game. I don't think it is. No, this is not the game either. Okay. See, she has to tell you how I don't really give a shit. Oh shit, I need to listen to the updates my guy just dropped. We need to listen to that.
Hello and welcome to this podcast from Geopolitical Futures. I'm Christian Smith. In the rapidly evolving Middle East, Iran is the power that has changed the most in recent years. War with Israel, along with the catastrophes faced by Hezbollah and Hamas, the Islamic Republic was already on the ropes. But now intense protests have swept the country, with the death toll following a state crackdown currently standing at 2,000. Iran, but many are suggesting different, and US President Donald Trump is threatening to intervene. With that, questions are being asked about the future of the regime. So on this episode of the podcast, we look at where the protests might lead, whether the US intervene, and for the wider region. Futures chairman and New York Times bestselling, as well as GPF contributor Karan Bokhari, who is senior director of the Eurasian Security and Prosperity Bureau at the New Lines Institute in Washington. Now, just a reminder before we start that Futures will be releasing its annual forecast of the Friday. Just go to geopolitical.com and you can get the forecast along with all the other analysis from George, Kamran, and our other contributors. Right, now, George, let's start with, I suppose, which is how significant are these?
The region itself is so much in disarray, but reorganizing itself. The Israeli wars, after Turkey is a significant power, close relationship with the United States, with the Syrian collapse and chaos. This is a different region. In a way, this is at the heart of the region, at least it has historically been a very important area when the Shah fell and how many things happened. And also, much of the terrorism that emanates from the Arab world is where they get shelter. Therefore, it's quite important what happens in this country, as well as affecting other regions, such as the South Caucasus and so on. So this matters.
Kamran, remind us how Iran got here. We're currently looking at 2,000 or even more dead in these protests. How did they come about?
So if you look at what was happening on December 28th when the latest episode of unrest broke out, the context is that the country was in a very bad shape in terms of the war with Israel, its losses in the region that George listed. And economy has been in decline for a very long time. And then, of course, society has been, this is not the first time people are protesting. We've seen these episodes time and again, 1999, 2009, 2019, 2022, 23, even 2017. So this is not new. But it's all getting, if you will, coming together because the regime is weak. The regime has not been this weak in the past. The regime was able to suppress the agitation in previous episodes. But this time around, the regime is weak. And what's worse is that the economic situation got so bad where over the course of 2025, the rial, the national currency of Iran, suffered a 40% devaluation, went from something like 875,000 rials to the dollar to 1.45 million. We brought the merchant class onto the streets because their businesses got a major hit. This is a class that's not traditionally joined the protests, stayed away from them historically, but they organized the first round of protests. Plus, that became the trigger for everybody else to join in, and the situation got out of hand very quickly. Now, the IRGC is also weakened. The Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, which is responsible for internal security and preservation of the regime, took a major hit since 2020, and especially last June when top commanders were eliminated. So it's been in disarray. And so I think that the public sense the regime history decided to negotiate with protesters, thinking that's the merchant class. A broader swath of society, logically motivated than triggered by loss of material interest, they joined in, and the regime was caught between whether to negotiate or to crack down. So ultimately, the only playbook that it has is to crack down, and that's how we got at least 2,000 deaths.
And extraordinary images came out of Iran from over the weekend. Many places looking like war zones. I mean, it's easy to sort of think of these protests as is protesters, popular uprising against the regime. Regime, Kamran, there are huge factional divisions. Just talk us through the complexity of that.
Yeah. So look, this isn't anymore a game between moderates versus radicals or reformists versus hardliners. For a good 15, 20 years, going back to the late 2000s, this has been a split within the conservative establishment, the political establishment that's made up of clerics, officers, and civilian politicians, deeply fragmented along multiple axes, multiple power centers, multiple factions. But what you can discern is that the center of gravity of the country anymore, with the clergy in steep decline, I mean, the clergy is all but gone. I mean, when Khamenei leaves office, whenever that is, as supreme leader, that would be, in my view, the end of the clergy as a force formally, because then whoever takes over will probably be a nominal supreme leader because the locus of power has shifted to the military. The problem is there are two militaries in this country. It's not one. So if you wanted to draw an analogy, a rough one, in 2011, when the Egyptian uprising happened during the Arab Spring, because the regime was built around the military of the country. The generals came in too. And so the fight, if you will, ultimately is between the regular armed forces known as the Artesh, which is a professional force, more secular, less ideological, and if you will, Iranian nationalist, if there is an ideology for them. Meanwhile, the IRGC, everybody knows, is very radical Islamist. They see themselves as the defender of the Islamic Revolution of 1979 and the regime that emerged out of it. And then there are splits within the IRGC, and the splits predate the war with Israel. So this is a really complicated picture, but ultimately, the question is that if this regime is to survive in some shape or form, then ultimately the army has to come out. The regular armed forces have to come out and assert themselves, because I don't think there's any other force that can do that.
George, let's look at the US. I mean, the question on everyone's lips, of course, is will the US intervene? And I suppose as part of that, why would Donald Trump want to intervene?
Well, Americans want to intervene is that the United States wants to draw out of the Eastern Hemisphere. We want to focus on the Western Hemisphere. This was stated in the strategy that was laid out. Disengaging is not easy, and particularly in all these regions that we want to disengage from, there's no more chaos than in this region. Simply leaving everyone alone, well, there's a great deal of oil, a great deal of wealth, it's a great deal of power, and it's strategically located close to the Russian, all sorts of things. There's a need for stability in that country. And if we want to leave the Eastern Hemisphere, if you will, if we really want to do that and focus on the Western Hemisphere as we're doing, we've got to leave it enough in order that fundamental interests of the United States and the Eastern Hemisphere are not threatened. The Middle East has become an area from Israel all the way to Qatar that you are constantly having crises. But at the center of that hemisphere, that continent, if you will, is this country, this amazing country that's had a extreme history with the United States, against the United States, and so on.
So do you think we will see the US intervene in some way?
I would suspect that that was going to happen. And even as we speak, it might be happening. What is likely, what is possible, what has been thrown about is airstrikes on certain facilities, particularly to try to bring the Khomeini regime down and replace it with something else. And this would be also an attack on Islamists, radical Islamists, and so on. How accurate it will be, how effective it will be, is questionable, but previous attacks have achieved some parts of their target. So we should be expecting some sort of engagement, but I'd be very surprised if there were any ground troops involved.
A question for both of you, I suppose, before we go on to looking at the wider region. I suppose, as history has taught many people, airstrikes can only do so much. Well, two parts to this question, I suppose. Where do these protests go? Where do you see them going? And assuming that the US does become involved, and perhaps that's through airstrikes, how can they be sure that it will actually have an impact? And how can they be sure that we won't see an Iran descending into some kind of civil war or state failure?
Well, from my point of view, it's already descending into civil war and some kind of failure. That's not the question. The question is what side emerges. We were deeply involved in Iran during the period of the Shah of Iran. He was overthrown by an Islamist movement. What had been an ally in the region became hostile in the region, and a hostile force in the region. So the United States has an interest in how it comes out. There's very little that could happen to make it in worse condition than it is. But if, for example, there would be strikes, for example, on the IRGC, the Islamist force, that would weaken it profoundly, then the army, which itself is secular, as was said, which itself does not have these ideologies and to some extent is hostile to these ideologies, and the Shah's son, who we are talking about and talking at the moment, I can't see him returning into power, but if that happened, we would have a less former Iran. That's the ideal. At the same time, there's very, very powerful. There are more power that they do something. And an army is going to be carry out destruction. So from the American point of view, I suspect what we would like to see is the army and people who are more neutral in Iran because they're hostile to a great neutral hearing, but if there was an ability to weaken very specific attacks on specific buildings in different areas, it is possible that a stable, somewhat pro-Western Iran could emerge. There's a history of that. And why airstrike used American from the ground, but you can Cameron?
Yeah, I agree, George. I mean, that is sort of that is what we can. That's the cleanest way in which we can conceive of. But as George said, this is the roadmap. But where will it lead? How will it be executed? There are a lot of things that can go wrong. For example, the intelligence. We may have a decent level of intelligence that says, hey, these are where the nerve centers and the main nodes of the IRGC are. And if you take them out, then you paralyze it and the army an ability to assert itself. It has no choice to assert itself because if you want to sort of look at it, there's the regime and then there's the state of Iran. The state is its institutions, that govern, regardless of what regime there is. This is the same army that abandoned the Shah. And was incorporated into the new republic, the Islamic Republic, in '79. They've survived all of that, and they have been sort of sidelined, if you will, politically and economically, and from a point of view of resources. So it's a much larger force, but it hasn't had access to resources. That's been monopolized by the IRGC because it has sworn fealty to the ideals of the revolution and the preservation of the regime. Now, if the regime has weakened, then it makes sense for the army to assert itself. The question is, can a U.S. intervention be so calibrated that you successfully weaken the IRGC and allow for a space in which the army can assert itself and make the changes necessary to pacify the population? Because if this is sort of like that surgery where the risk of the patient dying on the operating table is pretty high. And so this could all fall apart because it's not just the IRGC. The IRGC also controls a militia, at least hundreds of thousands of militiamen, not very well trained, highly ideological, with uniforms and guns and equipment that will fight for a long time. And so if you add those into the mix, so this becomes a complicated picture. Then the country has multiple ethnicities and there are rebel groups. The Baloch in the southeast have their own rebel movement. The Kurds have at least 3 groups. Then there are the Azeri minority, which is the largest one. About a quarter of all Iranians are Azeri. Now, they're very well integrated into mainstream Iranian society, and they're even included in this state, both in civilian positions and top military positions. But in this country, there are Arabs in the southwest, near the border with Iraq. So you have a country. So I have a hard time seeing how we can precision strikes that will produce the desired outcome without the consequences.
Enjoying the show? Take a moment to follow and rate us on your preferred podcast platform. For video versions of the show and much, much more, subscribe on YouTube. And as always, you can find expert geopolitical analysis at geopoliticalfutures.com. The concern there is perhaps not to create another Iraq, because that would have involved US boots on the ground, but perhaps more widely to create another Syria or another Libya, where you have internal fighting for many years to come. I mean, the people, the powers that may most impact as well are also in the wider region. Of course, let's look at the wider region. It is already, as you say, George, facing these enormous shifts, and Iran was already very weak. But Turkey and Saudi Arabia, and most of these powers in the region are already opposed in many ways to Iran. Turkey and Saudi Arabia are being by this, do you think?
I think they very badly want to stay out of this. The Turks have emerged as a serious military power, but they're not experienced at really projecting that force that far away. They don't have logistical capabilities and so on. They also don't want to take the casualties that would inevitably occur. The Saudis do not have a major military force. Their financial situation is the most powerful thing there. If Saudi Arabia and Turkey got together, well, they'd have a strong military, they'd have a powerful economic capability. At the same time, there are many issues to be settled between those two countries and various other options for them. The idea of either of those two countries intervening in this world, or really any country in the region wanting to get involved in this trap, is extremely unlikely. At the same time, if we don't want to have a chaotic Middle East and generating massive Islamist forces into the Europe and the United States and so on and so forth, this regime is one of the centers of what would. So there's both an imperative for the United States to have regime change in a fundamental way, a regime that is strong enough to convert or cover the forces that are moving now, at the same time with no casualties. And the problem here is going in on the ground is going to be, as in Iraq, a very painful operation. That's why the hope is, I think, in Washington, that somehow we would find ourselves in an airstrike war that would suppress them and give the army a chance to act. Now, the question is, will the army act? Will it act effectively? Can we break them this way? I do not imagine any circumstance under which it turns into Iraq with U.S. ground forces trying to pacify the country. The cost would be enormous. But there are forces in the country that, if are supported, might work.
And more generally, Kamran, more broadly outside the country, of course, the narrative of what's been going on in the Middle East in recent years is this sort of balance, this very broad brush analysis here, and there are obviously exceptions, but a balance between the pro-Iranian and the non-pro-Iranian forces, the countries, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, that sort of thing. Will they see this as an opportunity to influence the region more?
So, an Iran weakening, as George just mentioned, obviously is a messy situation. It's far more messier for the Turks than it is for the Saudis. The Saudis are insulated by the Gulf states. I mean, there are U.S. forces there. And then there is geography, the Persian Gulf. So, it's not something that's going to spill over to them directly. So they have standoff, if you will. The Turks have a border, a significant one, with Iran. And then the Turks have been aligning themselves with Azerbaijan and enabling Azerbaijan in the last 5 years to defeat Armenia and reclaim the Nagorno-Karabakh region, opening up opportunities for Turkey to not just play in the South Caucasus, Russia of influence, but also to use it as a springboard, influence power projection in the Trans-Caspian region, i.e. Central Asia. So, and Iran, on one hand, and Iran going into turmoil, looking inwards, not being able to project any influence, is an opening for the Turks. But only if it remains contained within the borders of Iran. And so it's kind of like, having your cake and eat it. Well, we want the regime to weaken. This is from a Turkish point of view, but we don't want it to completely fall because let's say refugees spilling out of the country because the center has collapsed. It hasn't happened, but in this country where there are actually two parallel militaries of different orientation, and they're competitors, and with the IRGC weakening, this is an opportunity for the regular armed forces to finally reassert themselves. And they see the IRGC as incapable of defending the country. A clear example of that was even Khamenei himself appointed the head of the regular armed forces as the joint chief after the war with Israel. This was last June. And so they will assert themselves. The IRGC will not go quietly into the night. So if things go south, then you can see refugees, coming out, especially, in the Azeri areas in the northwest. And that'll be a problem for Azerbaijan. That will be a problem for Armenia, Nakhchivan, even Turkey, because this is a border, Iran, all these areas. I'm just giving you one example. And so Turkey is looking at this cautiously. It's one day. The Saudis, on the other hand, are relying. They just did a deal with Pakistan, a strategic mutual defense agreement. It's kind of like an Article 5 pact, where an attack on one involves the other. So they can rely on the Pakistanis. But here's the problem with that: Pakistan also has a border with Iran, and that border is very insecure. There's an insurgency on the Pakistani side of the border, an ethnic who live on the Iranian side, traditional enemies of the Islamic Republic, because A, they're ethnically different. B, they're and the Arabs are Shia. And so this could also spill over into Pakistan. Then there's the question of what is to become of Iraq. We all know that since the fall of Saddam, one of the unintended consequences of the Iraq invasion was that Iraq fell into the Iranian orbit. Iranian forces came to power, factions and militias that dominate that country. Now, I bet those factions are now looking at Iran and saying, what will become of us? Because our patron is going turmoil or is in turmoil. And, are they going to start fighting with each other? Because it's a fragile, Shia landscape. Then that gives ideas to reclaim themselves with the fall of the Saddam regime. The Kurds are up north. They would like to be able to assert themselves against Baghdad. There's now a Sunni regime in Syria. They're allies in Iraq, the Sunnis, and border Kurdish thing, and Iran. So this can become a really messy situation. I don't want to paint a doomsday scenario, but I'm just sort of mapping this out and gaming it out that if the stakeholders of this regime cannot hold it together and get to the other side, whatever that other side looks like, in one piece, then this is a potential scenario that we're looking at.
I would add to this, if I could, simply this. Al-Qaeda was the group that launched 9/11 in the United States. Al-Qaeda, or what's left of it, still legitimately operating in Iran. So are a range of other Islamist terrorist organizations who are hostile to the West, particularly to the United States. So there is a 9/11 part to this, which is there's not only a regional problem, but we have the terrorists that are left alive there under the protection of this regime, as well as other Islamist groups. So when we talk about the region, these were the ones who were able to reach out, do 9/11, triggering the Iraq War, and so on and so forth. So this is not just a complex situation, but a potentially different for the United States, which is why I think why President Trump is focusing on it so intensely. And many Americans forget that this group, Al-Qaeda, is now being shielded by this government.
And of course, I mean, the natural assumption, and obviously one of the countries that we're most worried about these sorts of things is Israel. The natural assumption is that to say that Israel and the Iranian regime don't get on is putting it mildly. They, of course, had a 12-day war last year. The natural assumption is sort of that Israel would want the regime to fall, but perhaps they might be even more concerned by the consequences of that, and perhaps even more, well, perhaps in other ways as well, an emboldened Turkey, who they don't particularly get on with either.
Well, this is a fundamental question. Israel conducted a war that weakened Iran significantly. Much of the leadership was destroyed in the war. The intelligence was excellent on where they were, and Israeli strikes, missile strikes and airstrikes affected them. But it did not destroy the state itself. Less efficiently, less ideologically, perhaps, not much less ideologically, it is still there. Israel, to a great extent, is a very tired country. It has fought, rightly or wrongly, for years. It itself had a terrible time in Gaza, its army, as well as the population of Gaza, and so on and so forth. The United States, I don't think, wants Israel to carry this out. It wants it to be a more effective strike, and the Israeli strikes are effective, but they don't have the air power the United States does. Therefore, I think Israel will stay out of it as long as it can, because it's going through a very long war and is not eager for another one. I don't think even Netanyahu at this point wants that. That's a speculation, but I think that's a situation.
Given the potential for splintering from the fall of the regime in Iran, Kamran, do you think Israel would want the regime to fall, or are they much happier with a weakened Iran, a weakened Hezbollah, a weakened Hamas?
Ideally, I think Israel would want the regime gone. It has made it very clear. They're the ones actually openly supporting the son of the Shah. They have the most intelligence penetration in Iran. I would argue that it's even more better than the United States intelligence penetration is. So they do ideally want the regime gone. As George said, they don't have the ability to actually make that happen. They need the United States to help them. This is not something that the Israelis, actually the Israelis have acknowledged this openly, that they need the U.S. to work with them. The problem is that U.S. and Israeli interests are different, naturally so, because Israel has its own imperatives and constraints based on where it is. It's in the region. The United States anything that the U.S. has to worry about, and then for the U.S. are more long distance, and they come from as opposed to conventional forces that in Israel. So I think that the question is, what are they going to be left with? So I think that whatever happens, Israelis will benefit to varying degrees, depending on what the outcome is. In an ideal situation, they want a regime that can be friendly with them, not just not non-hostile, but friendly. But are they going to get that? I don't think so. I think that this is a really messy place, and we're not looking at a clean-cut outcome, at least in the short to medium term. I think for the long haul, we're looking at an Iran in turmoil, internal turmoil, and that turmoil could, essentially move in directions that we may not be able to even predict at this stage, given the number of moving parts and the number of unknowns.
Trump has another problem, if I could say. He came to power wanting the United States not to be involved in wars like Iraq and Afghanistan and so on, these wars that continually sapped us and cost us. Going into Iran itself would be something so different from what his supporters want. They were also many of them attack Venezuela. Going into this kind of war with high probability of being very costly and even bogging down and failing would be something that his supporters would really oppose. Given the fact that at this point his poll numbers are getting weaker, particularly about economic issues, his own supporters, who had supported him because he wanted to end these wars, these endless wars, and were quite upset when the United States got involved in Iran in the first place and other regions, that would be very hard for him to do politically. So the American intervention, if it happened, would be covert, or what I'll call X, which is a bad way to call it, those that cause minimal casualties for the United States. Coming in on the ground to try to reorganize this would be a nightmare, far worse than Iraq was. And Iraq was not good.
Well, so the way I see it from what you're both saying, in many ways, you've either got the options of the US does nothing and Iran remains just focusing on the US perspective here, Iran remains a chaotic place for a long time to come. The US does do something, it doesn't work, and Iran remains chaotic, or the US does something and it does work, and Iran perhaps calms down the Shah's son comes in or some other form of stable government comes in. Either way, well, of any of those three outcomes, it's far from certain what will happen.
I think the American strategy is to be decisive without taking major risks. That is, coming in on the ground is going to cause much chaos, much casualties. Okay? There's no way to avoid that. At the same time, doing nothing, and I go back now to Al-Qaeda itself being the threat, perhaps, but all the other Islamist groups that they're supporting everywhere and so on and so forth. That's not only a threat to Israel, that's a threat to the United States and so on. So doing nothing is not an option. Going all in is not an option. That's where we get back to the story of how could the United States destroy the regime and then allow the secular army, ideally, to take over with a Shah or a moderate Islamist, whatever it is. Okay? And that really leads to one strategy: airstrikes. But airstrikes are, of course, need to be very precise. And Iran is a very large country with all sorts of forces in various places. So on the one hand, staying out of it and letting Iran continue to run Islamist groups that could also threaten the United States, and going in. These are both terrible choices, and one has to be made. The hope would be, I think, in the administration, that airstrikes would do it with minimal casualties, as I said. And it's possible. I think the Islamist regime is weakened. Khomeini is, and everybody's expecting him to leave the scene quickly. And there's even fighting among the Islamists as to who would take his place. So doing it this way would be a way that we may not have to go in. And I don't think there are any circumstances under which Trump would order ground troops into Iran unless he was violently going to change his view of these things. At the same time, standing back and hoping is not really an option for him. So
George, to wrap up then, I suppose the question that flows from that is, and you know, the lesson of history, let's look at Vietnam, was maybe those with airstrikes. What if these airstrikes take place and they don't have the desired effect?
Well, in that case, I think the United States would have a severe problem. Be very, very cautious in terms as to what's going on, because it would have to be much more aggressive covertly. It wind up, even if troops sent and placed it. Best strategy is likely to support Middle Eastern countries that are hostile to them a great deal of support. Syria right now, giving some support, other forces take control. But at the same place, simply leave opens the door for all sorts of far beyond that the Iranians can get into. So there is no, as in most cases of geopolitical conflict, a simple solution. There's no non-risk solution. And even a successful in the short run solution that it would continue. At the same time, as it only able to project some force at that distance and has forces in Qatar and other countries in down to the United States either doing it or being very, very defensive and successful in that defense administration that might happen.
we better leave it there. Kamran, too much for coming on the podcast today. A reminder to you out there listening, please go to geopoliticalfutures.com, where you will be able to find the 2026 forecast in just a few days' time, and you can sign up there. But apart from that, thank you very much for listening. We will be back again soon with another podcast. But until then, you take care and goodbye.
And who's on this other side?
Find all of our expert geopolitical analysis at geopoliticalfutures.com.
Who is there? Make I go. I go take
Now to the questions raised by that US strike in Nigeria.